Hi guys, it's Jess again from Craft with Jess, and today we're going to be making my kitchen bag holder pattern that I whipped up one day because I always get these bags from the supermarket and I'm like, gosh, I need a place to put all of my bags. I live in Italy, as some of you know, and in Italy our bags are actually made from recycled materials and they're decomposable. So we still use those here, and I have a place where I collect them all in my kitchen and I pull them out and I use them for our trash. And so I made this bag holder, which I love, and it's like a little accent piece in my kitchen that, you know, I just love to have a little bit of crochet around the house that is something I made myself. And so today I'm going to show you how to make that. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab our supplies. Just before you get started, if you want the written pattern, I have the full written pattern in the description. You can click on the description and go to my website and grab the pattern there if you want to have everything written out, nice and organized with all the materials, everything you need. And some people like to do that instead of watching the videos because they don't have to pause and stop and rewind and everything like that. So get that. And then if not, though, you can follow along here. I'm going to show you what you need to get. Get the large size bobbin of yarn or skein of yarn from hooked.co.uk, so 700 grams, and then you'll have plenty of leftover. You're going to use a size 12 millimeter crochet hook, which is a size P in the United States. You can do a 12, you can also do a 10 millimeters, or you can do a 15. So it depends on your tension. I typically go with 10 if I'm making purses. If it's like other types of home decor where it doesn't have to stand up straight, then I'll go with 12 or 15 depending. And then get yourself a plastic yarn needle. I like to use plastic needles for bigger yarns like this, like t-shirt or paracord or things that are really fibrous. I'll use plastic so that the needle doesn't catch on everything and it's just easier to work with. And this is my favorite one with a little angle right here. So you can find a link to all this stuff in my description under the video, and then just grab some scissors, and that's what you need for the pattern. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so we're gonna start by making a slip knot onto your hook. I guess I'll show you how to make that too, because some people here may be beginners. So to make a slip knot, I like to take my string over my 2 fingers and I just wrap it around like this, flip my fingers and make an X. So cross over. Then you need this yarn to go in that center. So I just kind of take my hook and grab it, and I've made a loop on the other side. If you drop your hands, you just pull through and you have made a slip knot, and then you just kind of adjust this tension, pulling on your tail. You're gonna adjust it, and you want the loop size to be the size of the shaft of your crochet hook. So adjust it like so. Doesn't need to be super tight, it just needs to be the right amount of tension. Not too tight, not too loose. Some people will do this over here, but this is not correct. You want to do it on the shaft, which is the actual size of that you're going for. That is the 12 millimeters. So we're going to chain 12. So you're going to yarn over and make your chains. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Notice how I have my thread going through my fingers like this and holding onto my work. That is what's going to give your crochet work tension. A lot of people don't teach this stuff for some reason. We have a lot of YouTubers now who are crocheters who have been crocheting for a couple of years, whatever, and they don't know the foundations of crochet. Well, I've been crocheting my whole life, been taught by my grandmothers. I learned how to crochet from the get-go with the magazines before there was ever this stuff on the internet. So everything matters. Your position matters, your tension, how you're holding your hook and things. It will help prevent you from having pain later. Okay, so we did our chain 12, and then what you're going to do is you're going to create a circle. So finding your first chain that you made, you're just going to go back into that and make a slip stitch like so. There we go. We have a nice perfect little circle, and then we're going to make slip stitches into every stitch. So this first stitch was consumed. I now have my next little circle. I'm just going to go in there and slip all the way through. Then the next hole, you're going to go in, grab some yarn and slip through. Next hole is here, go in and slip through. Next one, go in, slip through. Next hole, slip through, and keep going all the way around, and you should have 12. Don't forget to count when you crochet. Okay, let's just check. Make sure we did 12. The best way to count is to count backwards, because you know for a fact that was the last one. Maybe you don't remember which one was the first one. We're going to count backwards. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have one more slip stitch I got to make into this next hole. Okay, there we go. Looks like a little wreath, and that's the beginning. All right, so the first round was making our chains. The second round was the slip stitches, and now the third round is where we're going to start our actual stitches. So we're going to chain 1, and that counts as our first stitch. And we're going to now single crochet into every stitch around. But I want to leave this nice little braid that I made in the front with my slip stitches, so I'm just going to turn it a little bit and go into these back loops. So I'm going to go into the back loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, and that's the second one, because the first one we count. Then the next loop, and the next loop. Okay, and you're going to keep going around like that. Now, if you don't like how it pulls a little bit and you can see the holes, then there is a trick for that. You can go into this back loop and also pick up another little third back loop back here. It's called the bump, and I'll show you that. So you just go in, but you also pick up the bump, and then you complete your single crochet like so, and it gives it more to pull on, so it's not as obvious. Okay, keep going all the way around. Okay, so I have come all the way around and I've done 12 stitches in my back loops, and now I have come to my chain 1 at the very beginning. So we're going to be working in the round for this pattern, which means you go directly into the next stitch. You don't slip stitch and chain 1 to move on. So I'm going to go directly into my stitch, and now we're going to be making knit stitches, which is my favorite. If you watch my tutorials, you know I love the knit stitch, because I always kind of wanted to learn to knit, and I tried and I failed, but I love the stitches that they come out with. It's just gorgeous. Anyway, so I like knit stitches. Okay, so we're going to go inside the 2 little legs and come through and make a single crochet like normal. And that's 1 knit stitch, and we're gonna make another one in the same space because this is an increase. And I'm gonna put a stitch marker in my first one so that we know where we started. The next stitch, I'm gonna do 1 knit stitch, so just going in between the 2 little legs and make a normal single crochet. And then in the next stitch, I'm going to do an increase. So that means making 2 stitches in the same stitch. 1, 2. Okay, and we're going to do that all the way around. So we're going to do 1 stitch, 2 stitches, 1 stitch, 2 stitches. And that's going to make us increase in a very slight way. So instead of having double the amount of, not 24 stitches, we're just going to have 18. So it won't be such a drastic change for this round. So we're going to do 1 in between those legs there, and then here's my next one. I'm going to put 2. And then in my next stitch, you got the chain and the 2 legs. You're going to go in there. One of the hardest things that beginners have a hard time with is recognizing stitches. And this is why crochet can be so difficult. I've taught so many workshops all over the place, and that's definitely a common theme. So if you can recognize stitches, you'll have an easier time. So what does this look like? You got the top of your single crochet and the 2 little legs, and the knit stitch goes in the middle. And we're doing that all the way around. Okay, ending with my knit stitch in the last one right before the stitch marker. So that was 18 if you go and you count, and I always tell beginners to count backwards instead of starting from here. Start from where you know for a fact you made a stitch. You know this was the last one, where your hook is attached, right? So just take that out and move that over and count backwards. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So you can either count by counting the little rib at the top, or you can count the like toggles, as I like to call them. Okay. All right, so Kate, take out the stitch marker. It's optional. I still use mine. I use so many different things. The easiest thing I have found, instead of these stupid little things that drive me nuts, are hairpins, like those clips, that you like clip onto your hair, whatever you call those. That is like the easiest stitch marker ever, because you just clip it and remove it. So I don't even buy these things anymore. Okay, next round, this is round 5. We're now going to be making 2 in the first, and then 1, 2. And then 2 in the next, and 1, 2. This is still an increase round. So working directly into the next stitch, because we're working in the round, we're going to do 2 knit stitches. 1 in that hole and 1 in the same hole. Okay, put your stitch marker back, or your hairpin, or whatever, paper clip, and then 1 in the next, and 1 in the next. And then we're going to increase again, 2 in the next. Oops, just lost all my loops. And then 1 in the next, and 1 in the next. And we're going to do that all the way around until we have 24. So 2 in the next, and 1 in the next 2. And if you think that this is already too holy or it's like stretchy, you don't like that, then you can change your hook size and go down a hook size to using 10 millimeters. Let's say that you have a really loose tension in your hands, which is a good sign, by the way. Crochet is very telling of your health. They say if your hands are relaxed, you can see it in your crochet work. And when you're really tense and like stressed, you'll see it. It'll come out in your work because your stitches will be tighter and won't give very much. So interesting. And in the last two, make a knit stitch in that one and in this one. Okay, so you should have 24 stitches. Congratulations, the hardest part is over. Now the rest of this pattern, you're basically gonna be making 24 around and around and around and around. What I would do now is I would keep my stitch marker on the next round and leave it there, so you're counting where the stitch marker was is round 6, and we're gonna do the same thing from round 6 to round 28, which is working a knit stitch in every stitch around. So let me show you. Here's my first one for this round. And I'm gonna put my stitch marker here. I know that's the loop that corresponds with this toggle. Okay, don't get confused now. It's not going here, it's the loop that goes over this toggle. Okay, so this is the beginning of round 6. So we're gonna do round 6 to round 28, and we're gonna do a knit stitch in every single stitch, so we're no longer increasing. Okay, so y'all go ahead and go around and around and around, and then we'll see each other at round 28. Okay, so I am at the end now of round 28, and now for round 29, we're going to continue to work in the round, and we're going to knit stitch the next two together, and then knit stitch in the next 2 stitches. And that's basically called a decrease. So we're gonna, it's the same as a single crochet decrease, it's just that we're going in a different space. So let me show you. I'm gonna go in my legs, grab my loop, come out, and then in the next stitch, I'm gonna go in the legs, grab my loop, come out, yarn over, and go through all loops, okay? And that's the first one. Okay, and then I'm gonna do a knit stitch in the next 2. And then gonna combine these 2 together. So inside, oops, yarn over and pull it up, and then go in, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and go through all loops. And then go in my next 2 stitches. My yarn's all tangled up. And do that all the way until you get back to your stitch marker for 18 stitches. Okay, and as we come to the end, we're going to do our last 2 stitches. And let's go ahead and count. So let's count backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And in round 30, we're now gonna decrease again. We're gonna knit stitch in the first stitch. So this time you're going kind of in the middle somewhere here of your 2 combined stitches. That's 1, put your stitch marker. And then you're gonna combine the next 2. And the repeat for this round is knit stitch, combine 2, knit stitch, combine 2. And a knit stitch, 1 in the middle there. And then combine the next 2 all the way around until you have 12. Okay, and let's go ahead and count that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, for round 31, we're going to slip stitch around every stitch. So when you slip stitch, you just, let me zoom in a little bit. You just go into the loop at the top and grab some yarn and come all the way through. I'm gonna put a stitch marker so we don't lose track. Next one, go in all the way through. Grab your loop, come all the way through. Okay. Some people like to do slip stitches with a bigger size hook because you can tend to have tighter tension whenever you do slip stitches, but that's if you really feel like it. Okay, so I've gone all the way around with my slip stitching, and now in round 32 we're going to make our loop to hang the basket. So obviously where we make the loop is where your basket is going to hang. So it's going to be back here, so this will be the front. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 13. Okay, so then in my second loop from the hook, so here's the loop on my hook, here's the first one, here's the second one. I'm going to go into that stitch and just slip stitch. And then here, slip stitch. And slip stitch all the way down. You should end up with 12 slip stitches. Okay, like that. Okay, so now I'm just gonna kind of fold my loop, and then I'm gonna go through either this one or this one, you can choose. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna go through my loop first, and then I'm gonna go through my stitch, yarn over and pull through and slip stitch it on there. Okay, and then that's how you make the loop. So now what we have to do is cut our yarn and make sure you leave yourself a tail, plenty of it, so that you can sew it in. So now you're gonna pull through your string. Then you're gonna take your tapestry needle. I'm gonna get my plastic one, and you're gonna secure this into the back in several places. So we want to make sure this holds well. So I'm going to go and pick up some loops. And come over here. And then cut your tail. All right,